Jojolapa, very good evening to all. I would like to welcome you all to WNO World Newah Organization's US Chapter Youth Division's first initiation step to success. Despite of all the things going on in the world, we are hoping to shed some lights and inspire the youth. With this note, I will turn the table to our moderator, one of the wonderful lady here, Rama Maharzan.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil Mathiva Pradhan. He is coordinator of World Newah Organization USA Chapter Youth Division. Hello, Jojolapa, everyone. I am Rama Maharzan. I would like to welcome you all on the Professional Meet program on the topic Step to Success, organized by World Newah Organization USA Chapter Youth Division. And we are live on eneplease.com. Our media partners are eneplease.com, visionsansar.com, and Newah Online News. Without spending much time, let me introduce and welcome our first distinguished guest, Dr. Anil Thuladhar. He is Vice President of Robust Electric Solutions. Since 2015, Robust Energy Solution is a leading supplier of robust electric vehicle fast chargers, energy storage inverters, PV inverters, and regenerative load bank products. Now, let me introduce and welcome our second distinguished guest. We have Dr. Pravi Rajbhandari. Pravi Rajbhandari is pediatric hospitalist at Akron's Children's Hospital, and she is assistant professor of pediatric at Northeast Ohio Medical University. Dr. Rajbhandari currently serves as the quality lead for hospitalist division at Akron Children's Hospital. She also serves as site lead for High Value Practice Pediatric Alliance and Pediatric Research in Inpatient Settings. Dr. Rajbhandari has completed advanced training in quality improvement and is involved in various QI and research collaboration nationally. And let me also introduce and welcome Dr. Elena Shrestha. Dr. Elena Shrestha is an aerospace engineer at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. She received her PhD in aerospace engineering from the University of Maryland in 2018. Her dissertation focused on developing novel unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, also known as drones. Dr. Shrestha currently serves as a technical member on unmanned VTOL aircraft and rotorcraft committee within the Vertical Flight Society and the largest and international technical society focused on rotorcraft. Welcome you all again. And let me start with Dr. Thuladhar. So my first question, Dr. Thuladhar, when and how have you decided to choose this career?
Okay, so this career itself, there is a long road. I came to this career after treating a long road. When I was 17 years old, like, back in Nepal, at that time, we didn't have 10+2 system. So we had grade 10, and after grade 10, you have to give this exam called SLC. And after SLC, you have to decide your career. Like you can go to art, or you can go to commerce, or if you are interested in science, you can go to either biology or physics. So those are career paths. But when I was a kid, I was very fascinated by chemistry and biology. Because, when I first started learning about chemistry, there's different kinds of elements, have different affinities, they mix with each other like people. And also when they combine, they form a compound having completely different characteristics. So that was so fascinating to me. So I thought, okay, I will be pursuing a career in chemistry. And I was also fascinated by biology because all the systems, our human body systems, is so amazing with all provisions, and the way it works is so amazing. So I thought I could be good doctor like Pravi. And so I thought, okay, I will pursue my career in medicine. But what happened was then I went and talked to my superiors, and my brother-in-law really listened to me carefully, and he suggested me not to pursue medicine because I come from a very humble background, and it was not affordable. So in that sense, I was kind of economically driven to the engineering side, and I selected physics as my major for my undergrad. Not undergrad, we call it like intermediate in science. But when I was surprised, like when I pursued that, I started loving physics, and that set my path, and I got a scholarship to go to India to pursue my electrical engineering, and that's how I came to the engineering. But what I really want to add here, if I have few seconds more, is to the young people who are really trying to choose their career. It is not end of your career if you don't get to pursue your dream. Sometimes you think whatever your first love is the final one, but not necessarily true. Because if you really keep your mind open and explore more, you will definitely find better options. So I'm extremely happy that now I'm in power electronics area, where I find it is very fitting to me and fulfilling, very fulfilling too.
Yep, thank you, Dr. Chuladar. Now I'd like to ask one question to Dr. Pravi Razmandari. So first of all, when did you move to USA, and how much like you have to struggle when you chose this career and you continue here, because our background is from Nepal, and when you have to continue here, was it like really stressful? I mean, did you have to go through the struggle, and how was that? Can you share a little bit on that?
Yeah, and thank you for the question. So I came to United States 2006, 2007. I am from Nepalganj. It's a small Midwestern border town between India and Nepal, and that's where I was born and brought up. I went to my medical school in Nepal Medical College, Kathmandu, Jorpati. And then I moved here in 2007 for my residency. The struggles, I mean, it's inevitable. Everybody has to go through the struggles, but I kind of think that it's how you view it. It's the perspective of, do you view the glass half full or half empty? So definitely there was struggle, because when I first came to United States, I did not know anybody. Not a single person that I knew lived in the United States. I didn't have any family. I didn't know any friends. All that I knew about United States was whatever I had seen in movies. And I was not a big Hollywood movie, so it was just one or two movies that I had seen. I knew there was opportunity for higher education here better than in Nepal, and that is what persuaded me to come here. But coming here, landing in JFK, not knowing a single person was definitely difficult and struggle. And I think what's more important is I spent 25 years of my life in Nepal, so uprooting myself from the comfort of friends and family and having a good life there, and then coming to a totally new culture where you have to learn everything, like starting from where do you go to grocery, to what shopping stores do you go, how do people eat here, how do people talk here, what are the cultures, what are the traditions, and even professionally, I did my medical school in Nepal. So coming here and learning the whole new medical system in the United States was challenging. But looking back, I think I have loved every aspect of it. I think it's been a very memorable journey. So yes, there is struggle, but I would like to look at it as a beautiful journey. And I just loved whatever I had to go through. It wasn't easy, but like you say, when you're growing through it, it is definitely tough. But when you reach at the peak, it's not the view from the peak that you enjoy. It's actually the struggles and the journey. And that's what I would like to think of it as. I think the initial phases were tough, but looking back now, I think those are the ones that made me into who I am today. So I absolutely loved living that part of it.
Yep, thank you. Definitely, time has been changed. Like from couple of years back and today, like there were not many people or your like Nepalese or like friend that we know, as you said. And time has been changed. But still, students who are studying right now are also struggling. What do you like want to suggest, like the students who are struggling in this environment also?
So, I mean, definitely having friends and family does help. Nowadays, I think it's much more easier because there's a lot of social media, so you can kind of reach out, look for help. When we initially moved in, even within the medical field itself, there were not a lot of people who was in medical field. Now, there's tons of Nepalese people in medical field who are willing to help out. So, what I would definitely like to say for now, people who are coming in, if you have contacts, don't hesitate. A lot of time people like us who come from Southeast Asia, we are kind of hesitant to reach out. We don't like to speak out. We don't say what our feelings are, what our needs are. We kind of perceive that people might take it as we're taking advantage of them, or we are shy and things like that. So what I would definitely say is reach out to people, and you'll be surprised. If you just reach out, there are tons of people who are willing to help. So don't be shy, don't be afraid. If you are in trouble, reach out to the community, go out in the social media. If you know friends and family, be willing to talk. Tell them what are your needs, what are you exactly looking for. And I can guarantee there are going to be hundreds of people who will come out and help you. So don't be shy, don't be quiet. Speak up, look for help, and people will definitely come to help.
Yes, definitely. Don't hesitate. If you have any issues, we have to come up front so somebody can help you. Thank you, Dr. Razmandari. Now, I'd like to ask a question to Dr. Shrestha, Elena Shrestha. We all know that you are the youngest PhD holder in aerocraft here. So there are not many girls who studies like aircraft so far. So how did you choose your career on the aircraft? Can you share your experience on this one?
Sure. Before I begin, I'd like to really thank you and the World Newah organization for inviting me to this panel. It's a tremendous honor, just I guess, sharing the screen with the other experienced panelists. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about myself here. So going back to the question on how I started, how I went into the aerospace engineering field, similar to Dr. Anil's story earlier, I started off looking into the medical field actually in early childhood. And it wasn't until high school when I started to, get more involved with extracurricular activities that dealt more with science and technology, like joining the robotics team or, taking field trips to places like the NASA Goddard Science Center. It wasn't until I was exposed to those type of activities that I realized that, I was interested in aerospace engineering because I was really, I really enjoyed the creative aspect of that field, coming up with new solutions to problems that no one has been able to solve for centuries, I guess, right? Coming up with new inventions to help the society. So even these days, right, my main focus is on unmanned autonomous systems like drones, and what we're starting to see is that they're becoming more prevalent. So everywhere you go, at the store, at even with Amazon delivery system, right? People are starting to look at these drones to assist society in many ways. And so my key interest in the career that I wanted to follow early on was trying to give back to society, trying to contribute something to a field, right? And so that's how I went into aerospace, and then the UAS work that I'm doing right now, I started really enjoying it once I realized the potential for it, to contribute to society, especially in terms of advancements in technology to the field itself.
Yep, thank you. So now I'd like to move back to Dr. Anil Taladar. So you have 8 and plus many more patents. You have hold so many patents. So can you share something like how much, like we normally, we especially in the place, we work hard, but we don't do such thing. We don't file for patents, and we just continue working without filing those. How important is to file for patents, and how did you work on that one?
Okay. Yeah, patents are very important for intellectual property, we say. It gives more value to your company. So the most important part of patent is to protect your idea. And, in this society we live in right now, the intellectual property is valued more. And that is what really inspires people to invent more, come up with new ideas and solve the problem. But there's economic incentives too, right? As a company, if you have your portfolio of intellectual property is big, then your value will be higher when you sell that company. So it was from that point of view, patents becomes very important. But also, when you patent something, you have to be careful. If you are patenting some ideas which are more on software side, there is no way you can verify it, right? So the main idea of patent is to prevent others using it, because you have worked so hard to come up with this solution. So you really want to protect your ideas and get benefit from it. That is true when you are designing a mechanical system, which you can obviously see. But if you are doing something in software, I suggest people to do more on trade secret. You can keep it as a trade secret because you do not want somebody to just copy it and implement it. Because once you patent it, everything will go into the public domain. People will know what you patented. They will go through your patent site. So there are a lot of things like that you have to be careful about. But when I was part of this, let me give a little bit background on how I end up doing some inventions. Now, first I moved to US in 2000, and I started working for Ford Motor Company on fuel cell vehicle car. So at that time, Ford was working on fuel cell cars to drive, instead of using a regular engine, to use a fuel cell. So when this is a very advanced technology, new technology, which can produce no pollution, right? Fuel cell uses hydrogen and oxygen as fuel source. In fact, air as oxygen. So it produces water as your byproduct. So when we started working on that technology, we were very excited in renewable options. And we end up developing these power electronic solutions for solar inverters. At that time, there were nobody else doing that area. It was like almost 20 years ago, right? So at that time, we came up with really neat ideas how to connect to the grid without polluting the grid and all those things. So that is where I patented a lot of ideas at that point. So I feel this area is new and growing, very fast growing. And now you can see it is helping us to harness power from renewable sources like wind, solar, and maybe ocean power, wave power from the oceans. So it is limitless energy we'll get without polluting the earth. So that gives us tremendous opportunities, and new ideas are more and more required. More talented people we want to join and contribute to this whole revolution of renewable energy. To do that, the patent can be one vehicle, where you can really bring people, incentivize them by letting them have patent on ideas. So that's what happened to us also. Like when I first came here, new ideas, I was excited. Like I came from school, like I just did my PhD in 2000 and started working for Ford Motor Company at that time. Then my ideas, when I was given incentives to apply for patents, I was very happy. And then there is more stories. Then I bought that whole company with my friend and started a company in 2008. So that is also important to have patent, like an intellectual portfolio, like we call it intellectual property. Then it increases the value of your company. And that's how we successfully sold our company to this Rhombus Energy in 2015.
Thank you. I want to add with you again, like you have achieved so many achievements. What is your biggest achievement in your professional life?
I don't think I have achieved anything so big, but I'm definitely trying hard to come up with some energy storage solutions. Like pollution-free solutions, but no, we haven't reached there. But I think just to be in this area itself and having contributed some of those inventions I had, I feel really good about which can really help to move this power electronics area further. So I recently applied one patent on, we call it a multiplexer. So it is a really neat idea of connecting different sources of power, energy, and then you can get power. It is more like a multiplexer, but it goes from one source to another. So it looks like a switch, which can get a little bit power from one source, another source, and another source, and combine it to form different voltages, different currents. So that I feel proud about. So that can really bring more opportunities in power electronics, I believe.
Yep, thank you. Now I'd like to ask a question to Dr. Pravi Razmandari. So this is current situation. We are going through this COVID-19. Healthcare sectors are the heroes, and they're counted as heroes and everything. Now they are the most important part right now. So how are you handling this current situation? How difficult it is?
Thank you so much for calling us heroes. I don't think anyone in the healthcare field likes to call ourselves heroes. This is what we do every day. This is our bread and butter. COVID or not COVID, this is what our life is. But thank you for bringing that up. It's been a bit challenging because even though I'm a pediatrics and COVID is not as bad in pediatrics as we have been seeing it in adults, but it's definitely challenging. There's always scare that you might just catch it, and I have little ones at home, I have elder people at home, so you kind of always have that in the back of your mind that I don't want to bring any germs home. And not just COVID, I think all of us in healthcare kind of feels this way all the time. Like come winter, we fight with influenza, we fight with tons of other viruses that's out there, so every time we go to work, you kind of are always worried that you're bringing back the germs home. So for me, I think the social isolation and things like that have changed. But at work front, this is what we do every day. Like I'm in hospital medicine and we always take care of sick kids in the hospital. And that is what I have been doing for all this time. So I don't think it's much big of a change for me from a professional standpoint, at least.
Thank you. For you, one question: what is success, and what does it mean to you?
That's kind of a very deep question, right? Because the definition of success is very difficult. And there's not one definition that fits all people. Mm-hmm. What means success to me may not be the same for somebody else. And that's exactly how it should be. Everyone should be able to define what success means to them. And unfortunately, I cannot do it for anybody. And the way to define for them is kind of trying to find out, what are your true values? What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? Why are you doing what you're doing? And like we always say, you have to know your whys, right? So why are you doing what you're doing? When you wake up in the morning, what's your reason for waking up? Why are you doing it? So knowing that is very important in defining success. The society has given us some benchmark of saying this is what success is, right? Normally it kind of looks like you go to college, you finish your graduate degree, you get a good job, you get married, you buy a house, settle down. And I think that's important to keep the society moving forwards. But on an individual standpoint, only you can define what success means to you. For somebody, it might be having $5 million in your bank account. For somebody else, it just might be coming home back to their 2 kids. So it's very different for individual people, and you have to define that for yourself. For me, personally, I think at this phase in my career, I have 3 little ones at home. I have a full-time work. So for me is when I am able to balance both my work and my family life, and I feel like I'm doing a good job in that, I think at this minute, that's what success is. When I see my 3 kids happy and smiling, not complaining, giving me hugs when I come back from work, And when I go to work, I am at work. I'm 100% at work, and I'm happy with the work I'm doing. I'm taking care of sick kids, making them feel better, sending them home. So I kind of separate both of this life totally. When I'm at work 100%. When I'm at home, I have to be at home 100% with my kids. I cannot stay at home and be working from the hospital. So these two are totally different. And at this phase in my life, as long as I can balance that and I'm happy doing that, I think that's success for me. And it's been very important for me too. And it's been a learning path. I always make sure that I don't want to compare myself to somebody else. The only person that I want to compare myself is who I was yesterday. Am I a better person today than I was yesterday? Am I a better mom today than I was yesterday? Am I a better wife? And if the answer to that is yes, that's success to me. So it's very simple for me. I don't have any complicated answer for that. But that's me. And for everybody else, like, you have to find out what success means to you. And then once you have that, then it's up to you to decide how you want to go for it.
I think that will help most of the youth watching this program. Success is definitely what being better than what we were yesterday and going forward without stopping anywhere. Thank you again. I want to ask a question to Dr. Elena Shrestha. What makes people motivated to work harder? Like maybe like when you studied this aerospace, like this subject, maybe like you faced many difficulties because there were not many people on this sector. Like so, how do you push yourself? How do you get motivated? And what do you suggest to the students who might be, going through same path, like choosing the same career?
Thank you. In terms of motivation, I think there are internal motivations and external motivations. For external motivations, it could be things like, encouragement from your family, wanting to achieve a certain rank in your career, right? It could be like what was brought up earlier. Maybe it's that being successful enough or being comfortable enough in life to be able to afford houses, to start a family, things like that. That's the external aspect of motivation. And so for me, a lot of that encouragement came from my family, especially my parents, and seeing, my own siblings, seeing their challenges and how much effort they put into work. That really motivated me and pushed me to be a better version of myself. And internally, there are a lot of different, motivations that help me achieve, get that or finish that dissertation. And one is that I always want to be a better version of myself, right? I really believe in the idea of a growth mindset. And so growth mindset is the belief that, you're not limited in capacity in terms of, your intelligence or capabilities. You're not limited there, and especially in terms of talent, right? Growth mindset means that over time, if you put in the time and effort, you could be able to achieve much more than what you initially thought you could, right? And so with that growth mindset, I always want to make sure that, every day I'm learning something new, I'm growing a certain skill set, or I'm maturing or developing my leadership skills, or just improving my overall character and integrity in general. And so, outside of my field, outside of, anything specific to my life, it's just trying to be a better person and trying to continuously improve so that when I look back 5-10 years from now, I'll be, very happy with where I've come and the journey that I've taken to get here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me get back to Dr. Anil Tuladar. What do you like in your students who might be choosing the same career path, like who want to go and follow your path? What do you want to say? How do you want to suggest them? Maybe from college point or something. How do you suggest?
Okay. Yep. As I mentioned before, power electronics is a growing field. And it is a multidisciplinary field. So unlike before it used to be, power system is completely different from electronics. In power systems, we used to deal with generators, big power plants, And then electronics used to be on communication with very small controls. But with advancement in multiple disciplines, like in programming and integrated circuit technology, in digital signal processing, these all things are bringing together now. And now it's becoming a very multidisciplinary system. So power electronics is everywhere now. If you think about your cell phone charger, that is a power electronics product. And if you look at your electric car charger, power electronics again, and all these solar inverters and electric vehicles, there are everywhere it is growing right now. So opportunities are abundant, but at the same time, challenges are also there. So in terms of, I would like to really tell new students to really keep open-minded and come if you are interested in power electronics. There is really lot of opportunities there, and also challenges, but challenges in terms of real world challenges. Like for example, now we are talking about electric vehicles, right? So we can avoid pollution and we can get more performance by using electric vehicles. But the biggest challenge is infrastructure. Now each school bus can have a battery having 0.5 megawatt power capacity. So that means, if you have 10 electric buses, that is like 5 megawatt power. But the charging infrastructure we have may not even have 1 megawatt transformer. So how can we even charge it, right? So there are challenges like that. But these are not unsurmountable challenges, but we need new ideas. So there are lots of if you are interested in power electronics, there are a lot of areas you can look at and see the problems. I mean, I would call it challenges. There are no problems, but mostly challenges, right? So you have to change your attitude towards it. And when you treat it as a challenge, you won't run away from it. Then you will come with a mindset to solve it. So that's what I really want to tell newcomers. Like, no, it is a complex system, but it is not a problem. It is a challenge. We all can come together and solve it. And power electronics is such a wonderful discipline where you can bring your talent from multiple sources. Like if you are a great programmer, you can still do that. There is a programming element to it. And if you are very good in signal processing or filtering, you can come and join. And if you are very good in electronics itself, you can design the circuits. That's great too. So there are, this area is really, really growing. And as I mentioned before too, the energy harvesting is becoming a big topic. And it is not only for economic reasons, it is more for solving bigger problems. That's what the whole world is facing right now. And if you will get more satisfaction, as Elena said, when you are doing something for society and something good, like just imagine how wonderful it will be if we can just tap all the solar power we have and don't need anything else. We can store that energy safely and use it, because you will be surprised, like in 1 meter square of area, that is hardly like 1 meter by 1 meter, you get 1 kilowatt of power, sun power. So you can power the whole world with small area of solar power. But we still haven't perfected the energy storage technology. We haven't perfected energy harvesting technology. But that means, there's a big room, right? So only option is to go up. And I can encourage anybody interested in power electronics to come, and I can, whatever way we can help, I would be really interested to help out.
So that is what I was thinking, like when you were explaining about the challenge, it looks like there are so many big rooms for the students that you come and just develop something, that those challenges will be opportunities for you youth. Just
absolutely.
Great. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Let me ask Dr. Praviraj Bhandari. What do you think the major challenges being a female in terms of your personal and professional development in US or back in Nepal?
I could go on and on about this, and we can probably make another 1 hour podcast and talking the differences between males and females. So to begin with, in United States and in Nepal, things are very different. Definitely, men and women are made different. There's a reason for that. Our minds work different. We think different. And definitely there is inequality. especially if you're talking in terms of Nepal. It's a patriarchal society. So there are different challenges that is there because of how it is in Nepal. Now, I've not been in Nepal for a long time, so I don't think I would want to talk more about how things are in Nepal. I was lucky enough that I personally never had to go through many challenges. In my household, my parents never discriminated between a boy or a girl. I was the only child, so I always got what I wanted. By saying that, I don't mean I was pampered and everything was given to me, but it was more like I always was given equal opportunity, even if there was a boy in the house. So I never faced that difference between being a boy or a girl. When it comes to US, there are definite challenges here too. The biggest one that I can personally relate to is because I have 3 kids now is raising the kids. Like they say, it takes a village to raise the kids, and we don't have a village here in the United States. We're by ourselves. I have been lucky enough that my parents and my in-laws and my husband's been very supportive, and they've always been here, especially when my kids are young, to help them grow. But once they're gone back, I think that's one big thing that I personally struggle with is when they're gone, it's mostly me. And don't get me wrong, my husband helps me a lot and he's a wonderful guy. But when it comes to a little bit of details for the kids, it still falls on the woman. And I think that's because of the way we are. We are nurturers. We are mothers for a reason, right? And it can be simple things. It can be things like, what am I going to pack for kindergarten lunch tomorrow? It falls on to me to do that. Where do I enroll him for summer camp? That's my job. I have to do that. So I don't have anyone else to fall back to. So that's one particular thing that I kind of miss here because I don't have that social support system that I could have back in Nepal. But that's just one aspect of it. I mean, there's a lot of different things that's between men and women and why we are the way we are. And there is science behind it. But I don't want to take much of time talking about it. I think there are certain, definitely challenges, but life is a challenge. You embrace it. You make the most out of it. So that is where we are.
Yeah, thank you. It was short and very sweet answer. Definitely, like what I believe, no matter what kind of differences that society made towards the women, we are always a fighter and we can do it. So all the women watching, we are brave and we can do it. And thank you. Next question I would like to ask Dr. Elena Shrestha. How do you see how to see the opportunities in challenging situations like maybe like the current situation, like the pandemic is going on, or maybe there may be something else. Like, how do you suggest, or how do you suggest students to find the opportunities?
Yeah, I think the key difference here is trying to maintain a positive mindset, right? Always thinking about, what are some, basically being optimistic about the current situation, right? For instance, in the, this COVID pandemic, a lot of young people are stuck at home. A lot of folks who had internships have been canceled, or even school courses have transitioned to online learning instead of physically being on campus. And so this really, instead of thinking of this as a negative light, think of it as an opportunity for self-improvement, right? You now have the time to grow both your professional and personal life, right? In terms of professional life, you can use this opportunity to take that course that you always wanted to take, in order to grow your skills. You can continue to work on, like a hobby project that you might have done for your internship. You can continue to study or read more books. It doesn't have to be, very related to science and technology or anything that, you're generally interested in. In terms of personal life, this is now the opportunity to grow your relationships, right? Many of you guys are spending, you're at home with your family or roommates or friends or whoever you're living with. And this is the time to really, get to know them a bit more. Ask your parents about about their background, their childhood, right? Try to appreciate what you do have in your life, especially since, things can be taken away in an instant, right? So that's what this whole pandemic and the situation that we're in really illuminates. So instead of, thinking about negative thoughts, just try to maintain an optimistic attitude and appreciate the smaller details of your life and who you are and how you can grow and become a better person. So, and that's, that's what I would definitely suggest. And that's what I've been trying to follow myself.
Thank you. I want to go back to Dr. Praviraz Bhandari. I really want to ask one question. So, how did you know that your profession was what you are doing right now? Or I'm not saying like you are not satisfied and do you want to change? So did you ever thought like, oh, I should have done this one instead of this because I have completed my course, so I'm doing it now and I cannot change? Like, I'm just asking in general, like if some students are thinking like I'm almost done with my subject, my course, but I'm not happy, and should I go switch my like majors? What do you say on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can definitely say I was destined to be a doctor. I was 3 years old when I first said I wanted to be a doctor, and I never changed my mind on that.
Wow.
When I was in medical school, I was sure I did not want to deal with adults. I did not like talking to them, doing physical exams on them. So I was very sure I didn't want to do adults.
Mm-hmm.
Pediatrics was always my sweet spot. I loved being with kids. And that was the place where I always felt home. So it was a no-brainer that I always wanted to do pediatrics. And for me, like I said, it was a no-brainer. I didn't have to figure that out. For some reason, like I say, it's destiny in my case. I never changed my mind on that. Now, when I chose hospital medicine, that's a little bit different because I took time to think about it. After I finished my residency in pediatrics, I was kind of debating what I wanted to do. Hospital medicine, pediatric hospital medicine especially, is a very new brand field. Like it's one of the newest subspecialty in the world of medicine. It was only in 2019 that we were even granted a subspecialty status. So it's a brand new field. Mm-hmm. So when I finished my residency, I took 2 years break and I worked for those 2 years instead of just straight away jumping and saying, this is what I wanted to do. Because I wanted to see where the field was moving. I didn't want to jump in and figure out later that, okay, this is not what I want. So I took my time and I looked for my various other options. What makes me happy? I knew that I didn't like outpatient pediatrics because that's just not me. It's not my personality, sitting in clinic and seeing patients. I don't fit into that mold. At the same time, I knew that I didn't want to be with those critical dying patients either. So I wanted to find my sweet spot, and hospital medicine happened to be that sweet spot. And for people who really are thinking that they want to change or they're not happy in what they're doing, I will go back to that basic question of saying, find your passion. What do you like doing? What gives you happiness? Mm-hmm. That's what you should be looking for. And there was a survey done which actually asked for what's the biggest fear today's youth have. And majority of them, the youth, said that the biggest fear that they have is the fear of failure. They are afraid to fail. They are so scared of failure. And what I would like to say is, like, you will fail in life, guaranteed. Everybody fails in life. There's no hard and fast rule. And if you have not failed yet, just wait for it. It's coming. So everybody fails, right? But don't be afraid to not try anything because you're so scared to fail. Find your passion. What do you like doing? And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it might not come to you right away saying, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do. And some people know what they want to do. Some people don't know what they want to do. Take your time, ask other people, what are you good at if you don't know what you're good at? Try different options. Sometimes it's just by trying, and you never thought this is something that I'm going to like, and you start doing it and you're like, oh my God, I actually like it. I knew I wanted to do medicine. I'm very much involved in research right now. But when I first started medicine, I had zero idea about what research is. I went to medical school in Nepal. There is no research in Nepal. We never did any research. So when I came to US, it was a brand new area for me. I had never done it. And the first research that I ever did was just because I had to do to finish my residency. It was like forced research on me. Like, unless you do the research, you're not going to graduate. So I had to do the research just to get my graduation degree. But once I got into research, it really got me thinking and saying, well, this is not that bad. I think I kind of like it. And then you try another step, and then you try another step, and then you're like, oh, I think I can do it. That's better. So my suggestion to those people are, don't be afraid of the failures. It is going to come. But go ahead and face it. If there's something that you really want to try, I would definitely say go and face it. At least if you fail, you fail. You will not live with the regret saying that I did not try that. I should have tried that. So go for it. And if this is what you really want to do, then I think you have to kind of create your goals and then go for it. I work a lot in QI, which is called like improvement science, and we always talk about SMART goals. So when you're making goals, it's not only saying, I want to be a big person. A lot of people say that. What's your goal? Oh, I want to be a very famous person. That's not a goal. You have to be very specific. What do you want to do? You know, like, when do you want to do? Now, if making money is your goal, some people say, I want to be filthy rich. That's not a goal, right? If you want to make money, it's still okay, but be specific. You can say, fine, maybe I want to have 50,000 in my bank account by so-and-so, but you have to have those SMART goals. And by SMART, I'll just quickly mention it. It stands for SMART. So S is specific. So you have to be very specific what you want, as specific, as detailed as you can. M is something that you can measure. So you have to have something that's measurable. You can't just go out in the blind and say, I want to be a big person. That's not measurable. What is big person? How are you going to measure it? That's M. A is achievable. So is it something that you really think is achievable? Like, I don't want every people to think that I'm going to be the biggest rock star of year 2020. Like, every teenage boy wants to be a rock star. But is it really achievable? Is it something that you really think you can do it? So achievable, SMA. R is reliable. And T is time-based, which is very important. And I say that because sometimes we don't give time limits to what we are pursuing. And then you figure out, oh my God, I've spent half of my life trying to pursue something that I don't think is achievable. So if you want to pursue something that you think you're not 100% sure, give it a time. Say, I'm going to give it until next year and see if I can make it or not. You know, if you make it, great. Yes, you found what you wanted to do. If you don't, you still have time. You have only wasted 1 year. You have not wasted 10 years of your life. And you can always go back to what you want, but at least you don't have to live with the regret saying that, I wish I had tried. You tried, you didn't make it, fine, but you've given it your best shot. So that's what I would say is, find your passion, find who you really are. And a lot of people and a lot of youth, including adults nowadays, we don't even know who we are. We are so busy in this life that you're running from morning to evening, trying to just finish task after task after task, that when someone really asks you, who are you? Who are you if you take away your professional life, if you take away your family, who are you as a person? Do you have an identity as a person? And a lot of people go blank when you ask that question, because we have never sat down to think about, what do I actually like? Who am I? What gives me joy? So sit down, find out, who are you? What are your values? Where are your roots in? And I think once you know who you are, everything in life falls into perspective. It makes life much more easier once you know yourself, who you are. And try to listen to other people, right? There's a reason why they say we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You need to listen twice as you talk. And that includes listening to yourself as well as listening to others.
Yeah, thank you. That was very detailed, and I hope, and I'm sure that whoever is watching, the youths watching this, are much more benefited with this one. Let me join with Dr. Tuather. we don't have much time, but I'd like, in short, you fail, or like, I know like it's a very long journey, and to this stage, you might have passed many failures and success. Do you want to share some of the failures that will motivate the youths watching, like to continue, even though you have crossed so many failures, you are still here because you continued walking? Can you share some of your experience on that?
Sure. Yeah, I also want to reinforce the idea like failure is perhaps the most important part of life, because without failing, we won't learn. Our neural network itself is like that. So we learn hard when we fail, because then all our internal resources will go into solving the problem. Then we do our soul analysis, like soul searching, and we try to figure out why we fail. And then we will come up more stronger and better. So in my career, there are lots of disappointments I went through. Like I went to do my master's in Vancouver, Canada. And then for PhD, I worked with one company called Stat Power there. And I did my PhD on one interesting idea. They were making this 1 kilowatt inverters, which could convert from 12 volt battery to 120 volt, so people could use at home. But that one inverter cannot even run a vacuum cleaner or, a compressor motor, which needs a lot of inrush current. So they wanted me to solve that problem. So my PhD thesis was pretty interesting. I came up with paralleling these inverters to solve that problem. And that was a very unique idea. So I got my PhD on that. So I was very happy with that. But then what happened was, according to the company policy, I could have applied patent on that. So I thought I will apply for the patent. So I and my supervisor went and applied for the patent. Then this company came and said, because they paid for my fellowship, they did not let me have that patent. Okay, so that was a big sour relationship I had with that company. So what happened was, eventually when I finished my PhD, I did not get a job offer from them, which was otherwise on the table, right? So it became like a big tough for me to really, after finishing my PhD, I applied job in US because I did not get in Canada. And my visa didn't arrive on time. So I moved to Windsor in Canada and waited for my visa, H1 to come through. So I was calling this INS every night and there was no response. It says like it is still in the process. And I was running out of money completely. So that was a big stressful situation, because now I finished my PhD, I had no income, and I have my first daughter was 2 years old at that time. And then we came to the Windsor, and I could not even get an apartment because I didn't have any job secured. So I was going from one apartment house to another apartment house. Nobody was offering anything, any option. Then luckily one place I found, I showed them my job offer from US, but I didn't have visa. So that was a very tough time. So, but what that gave me for the first time was the realization that, you have to tough out all these things. But I always kept my positive attitude, like, there will be end to this, this is not going to last forever. So that kind of attitude, I think, it helped me even in future failures I had when I was running my own company too. I will get there soon. So what I think, the attitude of your mindset really helps you. Like when you are facing a big challenge, like seeing no end to the problems, like I was under the debt and, like no income was coming in and I have a little kid to take care of. But back of my mind, I was still very optimistic because I knew that something will come through. So like that kind of attitude helped. And then luckily after 6 months like that, in June, I got my visa. I moved, I started working at the US. I worked for the company, everything became better. But then what happened was in 2008, again, the downturn took place, like all car industries went down and economically it became very tough. So my company went through different acquisition process. And I worked so hard, I invented so many new ideas, but whole company was trying to sell us off, so I could not let it happen. So I and my friend went and proposed them to buy that company from them. So that was a big risk I took because that is what I thought I was worth at that time. But when we bought the company, it was not easy because my payroll was like $30,000 a month, and I had no other income coming. But what I did then, I went to the universities to teach, and I went to Wayne State University. I taught as an adjunct there. I even went to 2 community colleges to teach. So that was a tough time. Like I was just making enough money to survive. Then I realized for the first time the value of money also. So when you go through these times, you know your value of relationship with your wife and kids, and the value of the money, and also value how to really work with your employees. Like at that time, I had 2 employees because of the small company I was running. So that taught me more than technical aspects. So then at that time, I realized that attitude is very important. How can I motivate my employees to work for the company, right? So that was a lot of this failure in the kind of challenges helped me shape my attitude. So then at that time, I learned few skills which I would have never learned by technically only. So when I started making some businesses working, then I hired a few more people. But at that time, I realized that managing people is more difficult but rewarding also. And for the first time, I realized that was, I think I gained a lot, not in terms of economic ones, but I learned life lessons in there.
Yep. Thank you much. Thank you very much for sharing that struggle of life. Definitely, we just need to continue. There's beautiful life ahead. And when we look back those difficult times, it is the most wonderful time we have ever crossed. We don't have much time. I just want to ask once again, Dr. Raleigh, just in a minute, do you want to sum up something that I didn't ask and you want to share? Just in a minute, maybe. Dr. Anil.
Was that question for me? I'm sorry.
No, it was for Dr. Anil Tuladar. I just wanted to sum up.
Okay.
Yeah, just in a minute, sir.
Okay, so I would like to thank everybody and for giving me this opportunity. What I want to share finally is, as I said before, for young people who are really trying to make their career. Always, most important part is the attitude. So, but one thing I really want to add here is what I learned as if you are running your own company or you want to really lead a group of people, you need to have one very unique kind of attitude you need to have, which is paradoxical in a way. It is like you really need to push your ideas because very important ideas, you do not want somebody else to trample that idea. But at the same time, you also need to have not look like arrogant because you cannot get anybody's help if you are arrogant. So that is a very paradoxical approach you need to take to succeed in life. So I want to leave the group with this thought in mind that always have an attitude of really forwarding your ideas, putting your ideas very strongly, but also opening your mind so that you can improve on that idea and present that idea as a collective idea when everybody will participate and help you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Let's go into Dr. Pravi Razbandari. The same question. I missed to ask you this question, and you really want to put like in a very short time, please.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add, but since this program is for youth, what I would definitely like to say few words for youth is that really take time to find your values and find your inner self of who you really are, because that's what's going to really take you a long way. And once you find out who you are, you have to work hard. Nobody will give anything to you handed over to you in a platter. You have to earn it. So don't be afraid of hard work. You have to work hard to get what you want. Don't be afraid to pursue your dreams. You may fail, but you have to be resilient for you to bounce back and say, I am going to go there and get it. And in the midst of all this, don't forget to enjoy life. It's short. So do all of that, but life is important. Stop, look at the flowers, look at people around you, make real human relationships with them, because that's what's gonna last for a lifetime. It's the relationship. So don't forget that. That's all.
Thank you very much. The same question to Dr. Elena Schroester. Would you want to add something at the end?
Hi, sorry, my connection was a little bit bad, but just instead of a question, just a final request, I guess, to all the parents listening in. Please treat your son and daughters the same way. There isn't a difference in terms of mental capabilities or, you know, potential in general. Too often, girls are, you know, expected to be other people or even people pleasers. So please make sure that early on in the childhood, they're also exposed to different activities that
It looks like we have network issue here. Let me try. Dr. Elena, you still there? Looks like we missed Elena Schroester. I think we. Sorry for that. With this, I'd like to thank our guests, distinguished guests for today, Dr. Anil Tuadar, Dr. Pravi Razmandari, and Dr. Elena Schroester. Thank you for sharing your precious experiences that will definitely help the youths who are watching our live program. And I would also like to thank you all, lovely audiences, for supporting us from all over the world. If you have any questions, you can contact World Newah Organization USA Chapter Youth Division Coordinator, Mr. Sunil Mathima Pradhan. And many thanks goes to our media partner, Ineplis.com, VisionSensar.com, and Newah Online News. So with this, I'm Rama Maharjan, and I'd like to sign off for today. Thank you very much, and Jazalapa.